All right, I think we are functioning here. I'm hoping. I'm hoping. Yes, indeed. All right, hello, fellow wargamers and history buffs, and welcome to La Bataille de Dresden. What turn are we on? We are in the 840 turn, actually. I think I need to update the stuff that's in YouTube. 840 turn. I think it's mostly the beginning. I don't know that any chits have been drawn yet. Nope, nothing's been drawn. So we've got altogether, I believe, 9 players. We've got 4 players playing the Allies and 5 players playing the French. This is the scenario that takes place on I guess it's the second sort of major day of combat at Dresden. Historically, this day was raining cats and dogs, and so there was absolutely no musket fire. Artillery could fire, lots of mud, so the Allied artillery would have been hindered in their movement. The French, because it was the cavalry depot for the army, Napoleon double-teamed all of the French artillery, so it has its normal movement capacity. And so if you were playing this scenario, you would have those sorts of things happening. You'd have the different drainage ditches becoming nearly impassable. You'd have the Weiserits and other water features becoming impassable. We decided to play this scenario without all of those rules in order for us to get a better flavor for the movement and combat and things like that. A lot of the guys that are playing are kind of newer to the system, and many of them, it's their first time playing Regs 30. So this was a chance to get kind of a little bit of a feel with the game mechanics and generally have more violence. So we're certainly getting a lot of that. So that's kind of the situation with this. And I'm going to go join my colleagues up there, and we'll see what's going on.
To ask questions. Oh, what are they doing for vacation? Oh, we don't talk about that. What are they doing for that? We don't talk about that. I'm like, what do you talk about? For God's
Boys,
sakes.
girls.
Oh my God.
That's all good.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. We've got the live stream going, so let's refrain from swearing too much, and welcome to the 840 turn.
Yes,
Only
sir.
840. Oh my gosh.
Yes, and MJ is not going to be able to join us. I guess he's got his in-laws visiting, so that's what's up with that.
We'll just
French
work around
7,
it as much as we can.
Coalition 7, and leaders.
Where's Coalition 7?
I think I'm Coalition 7.
Voltes?
Have you gone over to the other side, Alex? You've become Coalition 7?
No, I'm French. I'm sorry. I'm French 7. I'm French 7. I'm dyslexic. So I have French Coalition. It's like left and right. I can't tell the difference.
There you go. Potato, potato.
I'm looking for 7.
Is that you, Mitch? 7?
It's here. It's here.
Yeah, I'm French 7. French 7 is
Oh,
MJ.
no. Coalition 7's over here by the Plowin.
Okay.
Maybe it's some cavalry or something like that.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
I don't
no,
know.
it's the
It is you, Mitch.
leaders, maybe?
Chancellor.
Yeah.
It's Chancellor.
I think it requires a special sort of player to be French because we have to use Roman numerals. I think we should get extra points.
There you go.
That's
So,
good.
what am
Eric,
I-
do you want to play MJ stuff or?
No,
What do you wanna
I do
do?
not. Because I don't know what he was up to, and I don't want to spoil anything for him. So
So I'm just going to hold off, put French 7 to the side because MJ's not here. I'm really not going to do anything because I am so intertwined with MJ. Anything I do is gonna
Sorry.
Sure.
it's gonna have a reaction. And I don't want to put him at a disadvantage
yeah,
unless someone has an idea.
Uh,
He's a pretty important part of this flank.
Like
Is
there were
he
other
though?
turns when it might not have mattered so much, but at
Yeah.
this point, it's actually getting very active. So it'll be
Yeah.
fun. So let's. I guess we got to wait on this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything that would be, yeah, if that's okay. If people don't.
Yeah,
want
no,
it.
no.
I
it
think
makes sense.
that's a perfectly reasonable thing. Yeah, as Brennan was pointing out, when you guys were maneuvering from across the universe, it wasn't as critical. Now that everything is all sort of piled in
So,
there, that's a different
Yeah,
story.
everything's connected and interconnected. Yes, everything's
Yeah.
interconnected at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe we're gonna wait till next week.
Well, at least for that.
No, this is
So for some of those,
my guy.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
6. Yeah, 7
I
is
would-
not. 7's going to hold off.
yeah. So I would
And then
imagine that stuff that's
leaders-
affecting. Oh, yeah, you guys can move leaders, I guess. That's not going to
Well,
be
we have Coalition 7, which is moving. And then
Right.
we have leaders.
And I'm almost done, I think.
That
Like,
MU
yeah.
Chastelaire is the strongest of the Austrian division. It's their grenadiers.
Yeah, but he's kind of in this river crossing is a mess. You know what I mean? It is what it is. We're doing World War II stuff.
Boats, assault boats, all that stuff.
Yeah,
little,
I think that's
little-
all I have that it was under command of Chancellor at the time that I could move.
little canvas canoes.
Maybe we'll just go ahead and pump him right there.
That inspires me to watch. What was it? A Bridge Too Far.
Oh yes.
That had.
Oh,
I
Mary.
think that had
Those-
Robert Redford in the little canvas
Yeah.
canoes, trying to get
Those
across.
Hail
somewhere.
Mary, full of grace. Hail Mary, full of grace. Yeah,
Oh yeah, that was it.
I remember that.
That would have been pretty harrowing. I
You
actually
need all the
like that.
protection you can get.
Yeah, that's hands down. I think my favorite World War II movie.
Oh, yeah, it's
So,
great.
although when I was a kid, I loved the Guns of Navarone. That was, a hoot. But
Did you have
That's
the
more
plastic playset?
realistic.
of the Guns of
I had a
Navarone?
friend who had the plastic playset. So I had most of the stuff I had was like cowboys, Indians, cavalrymen, Civil War stuff was my little toy soldiers. And so we would play that. And then when I'd go over to his house, then we'd do the Guns of Navarone and World War II stuff. So
Was Harrison Ford in the Guns of Navarone?
He
Oh, you
was.
bet he
He
was.
was in the
Wow.
second.
Yes.
he was
The
he was in
second
the
one.
second one. I think the first one you had like David Niven and a couple of other people.
Yeah, so an all-star cast. The
Yeah,
first
yeah,
one's
yeah.
I
an
think
all-star.
Gregory Peck was in it, wasn't he?
Could have been.
Yes, in the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
In the first one, yeah.
Yeah.
But my favorite was always Kelly's Heroes.
Mm.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
More of
Donald
a
Sutherland just
Yes.
was so great in that movie.
Well, and Bridge Over the River Kwai was always a good one too.
You are a much more serious kid than I was. That's a heavy movie.
Yeah. Well, and Lawrence of Arabia was one of my favorites too. So that's got some heavy stuff in it. The first half of the movie, it's great. And then the second half, you're
It's
like,
just-
oh, that's really sad.
Yeah, it's a great movie. It is. It is
Yeah,
one
yeah,
of the
yeah.
best movies ever made. I mean, that's a classic.
Great movie.
Great movie.
Yeah, and I remember seeing Waterloo in the movie theaters. Back then they used to have it where they would, you'd have these Hollywood movies, and then every, 6 or 7 years, they put them back out in the theater again. So I can remember seeing, so I know the movie.
Sound
was
of
made-
Music.
Sound of Music, and a lot of the different Disney ones, that came
Edwards
out in
did
the
that.
50s and
Yeah.
60s. Yeah. Then they put them back out. And so every 5 years, 6 years, you could then go see something. If you were too young to see Peter Pan or whatever, you just wait a little while and then it'll be back in the movie theaters. Because they didn't have, they didn't really put that stuff on broadcast TV. The only one that they would usually put on TV with any regularity was The Wizard of Oz on Thanksgiving. That was the one sort of
Yes.
major sort of movie. And then, of course, you'd see all the war movies on, what was it, Channel 11, the Merv Griffin War Movie Hour, Sands of Iwo Jima, all that stuff.
Channel 9. Mhm.
Oh, Channel 9, yeah. It was one of those.
Some of the Disneys would come by, and there was an hour of Disney right after the Mutual of Omaha, Wild Kingdom, and then there was the Disney hour.
I love that show. When I was a
Wow,
kid.
Kingdom.
I love that show.
And of course, John Wayne has been totally canceled in our culture. So
Oh my God! But yeah, he was quite the icon
Hey,
for my
my
parents.
favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was addicted to. I had a picture of John Wayne in my bedroom, along with Ronald Reagan. My father insisted I had those two pictures. Oh, and Jesus, those were the three I had to have in my room.
It's like straight out of Family Ties with Michael J. Fox.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! Oh my gosh! No Brigitte Bardot. No Jane Fonda. No.
Well, he did have
No,
a
I
picture
did have
of
James Bond.
Farrah Fawcett. You did have Farrah
I
Fawcett.
did. I had
Yeah.
Farrah Fawcett. I sneaked in Farrah Fawcett,
Yeah.
and what was
You had him
the
behind.
other
You
one?
had her behind the Ronald
The
Reagan
door.
poster. Behind the Ronald Reagan poster. That's
Oh,
too funny.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I eventually got some freedom.
Well, it was funny because I can remember when I was a kid seeing The Alamo with John Wayne and really liking it. And so I don't know what. I think at the library they had a DVD of it you could check out. And so this was a number of years ago, maybe 15 years ago or so. And I get it, and I'm watching it. I'm like, this is terrible. This is so corny. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my gosh. And John Wayne is such a wooden actor. I mean, he's just John Wayne. Any character he plays,
John Wayne.
it's just John Wayne.
John Wayne.
He had a type that he played, I think.
Yeah.
But he did give some amazing performances. I mean, in The Searchers, that was
a
such
great movie.
wonderful movie.
My favorite was they were expendable.
Hmm.
The one where he was a PT boat captain.
Oh yes, exactly. That's a great movie. But he
That
played
is-
that type. He had the John Wayne type.
True Grit.
And, and
True
of course,
Grit is
Ward Bond had to be in almost half of them. So
Yeah. Well, and Audie Murphy, all those Audie Murphy movies that were out there. I saw those.
That's a sad story. That's
Yeah.
a sad story with him.
yeah,
It's
The fact that he was so short.
Yeah. Yeah.
His life was short. I think he suffered from a lot of demons from the war.
Oh yeah, he did.
I think there were a lot of demons there.
Speaking of demons, are we doing leaders?
Yeah.
Are we
I
done
saw
with seven?
Napoleon has moved.
Oh,
The
So I didn't know we were
ogre,
done
the
with
French
seven.
ogre has moved. So
I got my
hopefully,
Limonarial
hopefully
cookies. I wanna move my
Delta
leaders.
Force. Hopefully, Delta Force doesn't fly in and kidnap him.
oh yes.
this is a no politics zone.
There we go. We're just
we
just
had
being silly.
North Koreans in this game before. So.
Yeah, we did have North Koreans at the Battle of Borodino there.
Bordino.
Yep.
And they did great.
They actually
Yeah,
did surprisingly well. we were calling the Moscow militia the North Korean contingent. So with their exciting morale of 40 or whatever it was. So
They scored some clutch hits
They
against the
did.
Cuirassiers, and
yeah.
they wasted hours of Polish time on the march in.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think they killed, one of
Too soon, Brendan. Too soon.
yeah.
Saying.
Is that it? Are you still
soon.
suffering? Still suffering
soon.
PTSD?
Sorry.
Oh, that's too good. That's
Oh.
too funny.
Well, how long have we been working on Dresden? Has it been a year yet, or has it been
No.
19 weeks.
19 weeks? Okay, so about 6 months, right?
Yeah,
well,
it was after concept. That's right.
okay. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, because that's when because we wrapped midway through of last year, we wrapped up Borodino. So yeah, so about 6 months.
Don't put Dumeric on my troops because if he's sitting on a guy, he can get whacked. Dumir, was it Dumeric, third heavy cav. Just be careful not to put him on my guys because if he's sitting on them, he can get hit. Yeah, put him there. He's better off there. You know, and itinerant cannonball can come bouncing through and.
Yes, those bouncing balls of death and destruction.
To be clear, the coalition is not moving any of MJ's leaders because we kind of don't know what his intentions are.
Oh, he told me he's repositioning. Grossburg. I think
across the river, right?
Yep.
He's moving them all southeast. Yeah, southeast.
He's gonna kedge up towards Chemnitz.
There you go. How do you adjust the label on your unit, like the written thing? If you're attaching them to somebody, what do you do?
Control L.
Go to unit or hit Control L, or you can go to unit. Then
change. Okay, yeah. I see it. Thank you.
Yeah, all of those little things are handy, little notation types of things.
Robert, over in your 2nd Young Guard division around Drescher, there's probably a few of those stacks who are actually in command already.
Yeah, I'm just working on changing that right now. Yeah.
Yep.
And then I'm attaching those companies to the 2nd Guard division.
Right, so that they'll be in command under Barrois.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, okay, they're all done. And these guys. Okay.
Latour Marbury. Where do we want Latour?
Somewhere you can have a grand charge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Although the ground is really pretty bad for it. At least out here on the western end of the map. Best place for the grand charge is in the big garden, the gross garden.
It's like a gigantic bowling lane.
Yep, exactly.
Late afternoon, we'll be over there doing just that.
Yeah, when Robert and I had played this, we were the French, and Allies had a whole bunch of stuff over on the west side of the map attacking us, and on the sort of the western outskirts of Dresden. And then the Prussians and the Russians were kind of on the eastern side, and there was nothing in that gap between the Prince Anton Gardens and I guess it's redoubt number 3. And we get all this cavalry shows up, and I'm just like, oh, that's where it's going. And suddenly this huge body of cavalry shows up, and we're just like, okay, well, let's roll this way and wipe out the Austrians, and then we'll turn this way and we'll wipe out the Prussians. So it was it's just too hard to kind of invest all of Dresden. There's going to be gaps where the French can get out. But that scenario, I think, is my favorite. That's, I think, scenario 3, where it's the Napoleon and the Guard and everyone else are riding to the rescue of Saussure. That's a real nail biter, because it's really the Allies have got the advantage at the start, and then it swings back to the French favor, and then it swings back to the Allied favor. It's got a real sort of seesaw as reinforcements show up and stuff like that.
Totally. Yeah, you can really get a sense of what that day must have looked like in history and how everybody felt at the time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, and it's got that fun rule where when basically the Guard shows up, and you can then trigger with Napoleon when he wants to deploy the Guard or whatever else, they sing the Chant du Part.
Oh yeah,
and
the morale goes,
oh yeah, and then like suddenly, yeah, it's not so much the morale, but it's like the command structure just completely breaks down on the Allied side, and so they're rolling to try to keep people activated and all that jazz, and so when that happened, suddenly huge segments of the Allied army cease to function properly, and it takes them about an hour to get everything sorted back out again. So during that delay, then the French are able to, push the Allies back and fight. So it's a really, I think that's it's my of all of these, it's my favorite. So.
La victoire en chantant nous ouvre la barrière, la liberté qui de nos pas.
That's not bad. I'll have you sing that. That'll be the new intro for my channel. I don't have to worry about it.
It wasn't recorded.
Yeah. I'm just going to clip it, and there we go. Otherwise, if I have some professional group sing it or whatnot, the YouTube will ding me for copyright infringement. So there you go.
It's definitely one of those songs, when you listen to it, it's just absolutely hair-raising, like so many of them from that time period.
Oh, yeah, extremely patriotic there.
I'm done moving. I'm done, leaders.
In the early turns, there was like a lot of leader movement running around, but now there seems to be less of it. People are settling down. They want to be.
We're older. We're more mature now.
That's right. Or we're finally done kedging. Yeah. Are there any French cav leaders or others that need to line up their kedges? Everybody got that squared away?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's that cav leader, Lebrun. Maybe he's the fighting leader. Is he committed to first heavy cav or somebody like that?
First heavy cav is Bordesol.
Right, but there's a fighting leader who's really good at actually being in the combats, Lebrun. Sometimes, and he doesn't normally join an MU unless you've like committed him to it, just so we don't leave people behind.
I don't even see him. Where is he?
He's
Somewhere.
Is that him? Is that him?
Yep.
Yeah, that's
LeBron.
him. Like at the he's okay. So he's assigned into first heavy, which is good. So when the MU comes up, you want to be moving him along with some stack that's planning to fight soon, because that's a leader who can fight and die. It's okay. We want to get him into the action.
Oh, he sounds like a Green Beret.
Exactly. I'm sure it's one of those fuzzy hussar hats or something.
Who's Van Merlin?
Van Merlin is 3rd Cavalry, and he is mine, and I moved them up here so that I could catch my units up there.
The problem with that is if the Prussians if he draws first and moves, he can surround him and kill Van Merlin because he's so far out. All he needs to do is move this guy, that guy, and that guy, or that guy, or this guy, and he can surround him and kill him.
Okay, well, I can move him back.
Yeah, just put him somewhere like that. Perfect. That way, you're not going to get as far as Kedge, but that's fine. We're not in any rush. But that way, if he tries to surround him, he can always retreat into another unit.
To an adjacent unit, yeah.
Yeah, if you put him out here, let's say you had him here, all this guy has to do, he just swings around to these 2 hexes. This guy backs out, swings around to these 2 hexes, and this guy comes in from these 2 hexes, and you're dead. He's got more than enough movement to do that with that cav.
Speaking of 3rd Light Cav leaders, there is that guy who got chased off the board and is returning via Dresden City. He could move now as well. He's like in Dresden someplace.
Entirely about him. Hold on. Where do we put him?
He's in the Neustadt across the river, but he wants to head up to the front.
Where's he in the Neustadt? Oh, it's Friedrichstadt. Sorry. So I'm gonna. Okay, so.
Der Brücke, ich glaube. Somewhere near the bridge. There you go. Yep.
Yeah. One of the biggest things I think it is when learning this game is patience. The game does not have to be won before noon.
And it's tricky because so much, people start playing it and there's all this movement early, but it's often not decisive. And you really have to develop the action.
Now you used to double move on roads, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
He moved. Yeah.
I wish you'd have told me that before I charged the artillery.
Patience.
Patience, young Jedi. Patience, young Skywalker.
It's one of those ways that you tell. So.
Are we ready for a new chip?
We are.
I guess I'll draw. I got it right here. We've got French 10. French 15. Artillery. And Coalition 5.
So 15 is the garrison. 10 is probably Peugeot.
Not much going on with the garrison. Yep.
No. You want to go in a room, Alex? No.
I'm sorry. Sure.
Do your own thing. Jeez.
I'll see you in game room 1.
So, Brennan, with the various, I mean, given the fact that here with the Regs 30 rules, there's no sort of deterioration of ricochet fire, how do you suggest you bring guns up when you're able to get shot through and hit?
Yeah, it increases the importance of counter battery fire.
Yeah, I mean, but how do you get the guns up if you don't have a screen for them? So, like, for example, obviously in Premiere, there's no ricochet, so that's easy to deal with. You just put some skirmishers or somebody out there to cover. But even in 5th edition, where with each successive shot, you've got, you know, a -6 on your die roll kind of thing. So you could have maybe a couple of units in front of that artillery unit before they end up being the next one in the line. What's the tactical way that you would bring these guys up? Because there's not anything. It's just the same value no matter where you're at.
Are we looking at a particular part of the battlefield or just talking?
Yeah, like, for example, over the Gross Garden, it looks like the Russians have been trying to bring some batteries up, and they've been catching ricochet fire.
I'm sorry. Can I interrupt for half a second? Can I bring who's got the guard cav up by Lobta? Is that
It's probably Robert.
Robert? Can you come on down to room 1?
Sure.
Thanks.
Eric, I think the approach there would be you find your longest range artillery,
Right.
and you roll it up to 1 hex outside the range of whoever's shelling you. Are you thinking of the redoubt artillery or just ordinary line artillery?
So, for example, Michael, or I should say Hawkins, has got those guns that were there in the woods. They're on the corner or the tip of the suburbs there at Prinosh. And so they've been firing. Plus, there are the readouts have been firing as well. So,
yep.
Regardless of which one it is, I suppose with the readout it's harder to do because they got a range of 14, which probably is in excess of even what the Russian guns have. The guns that are there in the woods have got a range of 8. And so, yeah, you could probably. So the idea is that you bring them up, you unlimber them out of range, and then what? You prolong them, and you move them forward bit by bit by bit by bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what happens is once you bring up enough mass of guns from, like against the line guns, for example, the ones on the point of woods there,
right.
They have a range of 8. So they're a perfect counter battery target for the Russian heavy position batteries. You line up 10 or 12 hexes away, they can't hurt you, and you get enough fire onto them. They basically have to limber up and run away because they become untenable.
Okay.
And if they stay, you kill them over time. And you have to be patient, and you rely on your best possible artillery leaders like Euler, a Barclay, and anybody else you can find. And so the early turns of the game are establishing that counter battery network. And once you've knocked out the supporting guns, then you can begin the infantry advance.
Okay.
It's to some extent, it's actually sort of doctrine. If you read some of the artillery doctrine from late Napoleonic period, they'll say the first role of the artillery is to knock out the supports. And this is exactly what they're talking about. So the rules recreate the tactical imperative to do that.
Right.
And then the way you handle the redoubts, which are extra long range, is you can, depending on exactly the terrain, you can run in on a road. So you start outside their range envelope. You hustle your position batteries in on a road and unlimber. Sometimes you can get into, like, your own position batteries are slightly shorter, but maybe on a road you can get into range and unlimber. or you get one hex out of range and then prolong. And then the other thing you can do is you can take fast-moving horse artillery. You start outside the range envelope and you rush in and unlimber close. And the attacker doing that you have to do it in a way where you outnumber and have artillery superiority over the defending support guns. And if you do that, it's pretty inevitable that eventually you're going to beat them. Either they're going to accept the fight and you'll trade hits,
right?
Or they'll deny the fight and you'll force them out of their zone, out of their spot. That's the tactic.
Okay, interesting.
And in the Borodino game over on the western side, there was a lot of artillery dueling for the first several hours, and the approach was like exactly what we've just been talking about.
Okay.
If you can't get artillery superiority against the supporting heavy batteries, you basically actually can't make an attack in that area. You have to find a different place, because there are places where the terrain will let you creep up and pop out.
Yeah, here there's really not, at least on that side, there's no slopes or anything like that you can kind of hide behind.
On the eastern side?
Yeah. I mean,
there's
in the great garden. Yeah, that's.
Oh, if the Allies are going to make an approach over there, what they can do in Regs 30, where there's this ricochet thing, what they can do is they can concentrate all of their positional batteries out there, and it becomes a very intentional early semi-siege approach.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have numerical superiority, you can win that fight even against guns with longer range.
Right. Although in this particular one, Euler is not a artillery leader of special ability.
Right.
Like
so you
Borodino. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but even so, he's a lot better than nothing. And you're relying on 2 phases per turn, and that extra 3 modifier, that's like a 10% bonus. So if you have enough batteries that are, and you're basically trying to trade increments.
Mm-hmm.
And so whoever, in order to win one of those counter battery fights, you have to have enough artillery increments in your selected sector to totally overwhelm the point defenders. And the other thing, that, of course, that it echoes historically is what the early stages of a Vauban siege looked like, where it was all about, you set up the protective circular line, and then they very carefully picked and engineered where the attacking batteries were going to go, and they would line up 3 or 5 of them onto a single bastion.
Right.
And then they would fire away until that bastion was suppressed. And then they would move to the same set of siege guns to another bastion and suppress that. Now they can move up their medium artillery because they're not under response threat.
Right.
It's the same here.
Yeah. It is interesting with the 5th edition rules. They have a, obviously you need to get 2 hits on the guns in order to actually do 1 increment of damage to it. But they do have a thing where if you got 1 hit on it, the gun is suppressed. So even if you didn't actually damage, take an increment off, the fact that you did enough that it would have done 1 increment of damage suppresses the gun. And then I'd have to look up for how long it is if it's out for, the turn. And so therefore you actually have this sort of thing where you set stuff up and you're firing at those guns and you suppress them. And while they're suppressed, then you can bring your infantry up or your cavalry or whatever else, and then launch an attack. And so that's something that I don't think Regs 30 has a sort of suppression thing. It's just purely knock the other guy's guns out over time.
I mean, the equivalent is that it's actually easier to score hits in Regs 30 because every hit counts. So you can rather than relying on the suppression, you can rely on the statistics.
Right.
And it creates the same tactical dynamic. The tactical dynamic in both cases is the attacker against a well-defended a zone that's well-defended by artillery has to be systematic in the early counter-battery stages. And then the defender in 5th edition, you can sacrifice infantry to absorb it, which lasts a little while, but that's a very painful sacrifice to make.
Right.
So it ends up with the same dynamic where if the attacker can bring up enough batteries in enough of a crescent-shaped firing set of positions, the zone becomes untenable for the defender, and then you change the terrain dynamic because now you push them out of that area. They can't hold it.
Right.
But does Regs?
And then you can.
Sorry, go ahead.
And then you can rush up with infantry and cavalry, and the ways of taking terrain on the battlefield become step by step, sort of fire and movement thing where you set up the dominating batteries, and then you're challenging the defender. Do they want to fight for that and die for that or not? And if not, then you take it, and it advances like that.
What was your question, Rick?
I was just curious. I can't remember. Does 5th edition though, where you take 1 hit equals 1 hit in Regs 30, but their defenses are 20 in most cases.
No.
So
in Regs 30 they are, but in
so in Regs,
in 5th edition you've got a fire defense of 8 for unlimbered guns, kind of thing. So you're easier
they have that
to hit.
in the clear here.
Yeah. No, well, here in the clear, in Regs 30, your defense is 16, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that's the difference.
Both systems create a pretty interesting dynamic, but a lot of people don't focus on it. In the large battles where there's a lot of artillery and static positions and redoubts, that question of where are the artillery dominating positions, it's actually critical to winning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very fun to learn that aspect of the game. It's quite different. It's much more static than the infantry and cavalry, but it opens the way for those for the more familiar mobile stages of the game.
Cool.
And then if you go back and read the history, it actually was a very substantial part of the fights. Another place to look at that type of artillery dynamic on both sides is the American Civil War. A really terrifying example of it was the late 1864 Battle of Cold Harbor, where the Confederates had time to dig in and deploy their guns very carefully, and they had all kinds of crossfires, and the artillery is protected from frontal attack by a woods, but it has a devastating oblique side angle on approaching infantry and stuff, and they had to be dug out one at a time. It didn't work at Cold Harbor.
Right.
And Cold Harbor is a massacre.
Can you have multiple artillery units shooting at a hex?
Well, you can only in La Bataille,
one hex one time.
Yeah, only one hex can be hit. So you could, if you've got an artillery leader, you can have 2 hexes combine on one, or you've got a special leader, you can get 3 hexes or 3 stacks to combine on one. But otherwise, it's kind of a 1-to-1. One stack firing on another single hex kind of a thing. So
in Regs 30, what you're really looking to do as the attacker, or in general in the artillery confrontations, is there's 2 fire phases, and you're really fundamentally relying on the artillery leader bonuses to make the difference, because they're having 2 chances per turn to use that bonus.
Right.
And so the counter battery fights take some time, but it's not forever. And you can create a situation where a defending point is untenable fairly quickly.
Why do you think they didn't put in modifiers for ricochet?
In 5th edition, there are.
No, but why they don't have it in Regs 30?
Their interpretation of round shot.
Yeah, it's just the guy who wrote it, that's what he thought it would be.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing from
is that 80% of cannonballs rolled through. And that was verified, but
the question is, are they doing as much?
The irritating part is you don't have the choice as to what kind of shell to load. When you'd really like to have ricochet, you're sometimes stuck with canister, when it would make a lot more sense to ignore the stupid company there and just blast away with round shot.
Right.
And I've done a lot of research. I've been trying to do research on this, and there's very little research on the effectiveness of cannonball secondary, tertiary bounce throughs? Like how many times does it bounce through? There's a lot of anecdotal, but there's no one has done a study of it that I can find. I'd love to see it.
There's a really interesting book about Vauban's fortification methods called Fire and Stone. And it has a lot of quite detailed diagrams. And what you see there is the attacking batteries against a fort, like, say, the Dresden central city.
Right.
The attacking batteries would set up in a crescent, like half a mile away from the particular, they would choose one bastion of the fort and they would concentrate all their fire. But you can see from the firing lines and the author pulled up many, many diagrams of the siege works and stuff. And you can see very clearly how they're cross ricocheting across the bastions and they're ricocheting down the line of the curtain walls.
Right.
Oh, I know it was effective. I just would love to see some data on it.
Data on it. Yeah.
I would love to see data, but like how many times does a cannonball bounce? Like what is the killing power of a cannonball after the 6th bounce?
What you'll see in those diagrams is the attacking firing lines go through the bastion and out roughly 100 to 150 yards beyond it. So that, at least in those sketches,
right,
clearly
exactly.
The engineers were thinking about that type of effective distance past the target.
Well, they could easily use cannon from that period to measure velocity. And
yes,
and
but the question is
figured out from
like,
there.
Yeah, as I said, I've been desperately searching because I'm trying to develop a Civil War game based on La Bataille, and just trying to see the effectiveness of artillery, and over distance, and it's just like you would think someone would do a study, but I haven't been able to find anything.
Well, the other thing is,
is
by the time you've got the American Civil War, you've got shell, and you've got some different types of stuff where you're not using shell so much here in this one. It's more round shot.
Exactly. Technology changes.
Yeah.
So Chip, 15 zone, we could, speaking of artillery, we could probably run the artillery.
Plus, think about how they load the artillery too. If they don't load it well or the powder's not great, then you're not, you might as well roll it on the ground.
And I think that's why a lot of times with the La Bataille, you'll have the fire values of so say we're looking at an Austrian gun, comparing it to a French gun. Okay, they're both, 6-pounders.
6-pounders.
Okay,
yeah.
And you're like, okay, but why is the Austrian value less than the French one? Well, part of it could be training, but the other thing could be, okay, maybe during this time period, the Austrians were getting lousy powder, or vice versa. There's times when things are bad and the French are getting bad powder. And so these are sort of things that the game designer then can make these little adjustments. I think that's where they would make that adjustment in the fire value of the guns. If you've got either better trained troops or you've got bad powder or better powder or whatnot, that's where you kind of tweak that and express it, that historical value in the game. So
the Austrian army of 1809 had notably lighter calibers than the French, and it was intentional. They wanted more mobility and they were willing to give up some firepower. And I think that's reflected in the counters. And then by 1813 here...
I'm sorry, did you say the Austrians wanted more mobility?
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing 5s. I'm seeing movement points of 5.
For their guns. and then in 1813, they had started adding back heavier calibers, and the Austrian divisions here have more longer range artillery, heavier firepower than the 1805 or 1809 ones.
Right.
So and I think that's actually from the physical barrelage and all that stuff.
Yep. All right.
Are we
you guys
into the
probably want to
artillery
split
phase here?
into two different groups to do that, so you can get through it more expeditiously.
Well, I don't think we can do anything on the west because we're all MJ.
We could do artillery if there is much. There's some maybe Austrian versus French guard artillery back and forth.
Well, there's that up in the
this stuff hasn't changed.
Movitz on Kota. We got to shoot at the steeple in Kota.
Oh, please shoot. Please hit.
So I'm going to go down to a room. Anybody?
No,
Anybody want to come with?
I think Hawkins and Rick are already down in a room doing stuff. You might as well do it here.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and
So I
chuck some
think that
dice, see
comes
what you
to
get.
you. I keep forgetting what my scores are. So it's 6 and 4 and 10 and 6, I think. So 16.
Yeah.
So that's a
It's
1 to 1?
16 to 20.
20. 1 to 1.5.
Hey,
I was just looking up.
Well,
I was
because
just
you got a
looking up
plus 6
muzzle
to the leader, so yeah,
velocities.
that's a hit.
Heck
I was just looking up muzzle velocities. A 12-pounder Napoleon gun has the same feet per second as my 50 AE Desert Eagle. That's really interesting.
At the point of when it leaves the barrel, I wonder what it is like at 200 yards. I would think it probably drops a lot more than your Desert Eagle.
I think the 12-pounder is lighter, though. I think it's easier to carry.
less recoil.
Much less recoil.
Somebody has to roll a morale check for the unit in Kota.
Yeah, you're going to have a plus 6 for being in the structure, but a minus 6 for being half dead. So if there's an Austrian player out there, chuck some dice.
I rolled a 25.
You're not an Austrian.
Maybe
you can't roll for the Austrians.
Eric, why don't you roll for it? And it's a company.
Parents lived in Austria.
Oh, it's a company. Okay,
Company, so the minus 6 doesn't affect
54.
it. He passed.
Yep.
He passed.
But he's only 1 increment, so he's ready to be stormed.
Almost there. Almost there.
I'd say send the guard heavy cavalry and charge them.
Up the steeple.
Yep.
Sort of like
what other fire over here? Robert,
saddle.
do you have fire on the Austrians from the guard artillery?
Yes, I do. Let's see. I'm going to do the same as last time. So, Dulaloy here is going to fire at these guys here.
Are they in the room? Or are they?
Yeah, that's Mitch. Yeah.
Mitch, are you here?
I saw him in the room. I don't know if he's still here or not.
Here.
Yep, there he is.
Okay.
So it's going to be a 12 to 9. So 1 to 1.
12 to 9.
Plus 5 for your artillery leader.
Plus 5. 43.
That's going to be a 50. It's a 1 to 1. So yeah, that's a hit. Palpable hit.
It's a hit on.
Just which unit? I don't know. I didn't see the flash.
Oh, this guy.
Bianchi. Bianchi's the second, the 48th. I don't even know what the name of the unit is.
It is the Symbition.
The Symbition.
Yep.
The second Symbition.
And they pass.
All right.
All right, what's next?
And then the other shot I have are these 2 stacks here, which is 40 to 6 here. Oh no,
9.
but they're
Against
40
9.
to 9.
9.
So 4 to 1 with a plus 6.
4 to 1 with a plus 6.
Guaranteed a hit. And that's a single hit.
Is there a ricochet? Is there a bouncer?
Of course.
Yeah, it'll go through to hit these guys.
Yeah. And they're an 8.
So
40 to 8.
Mitch, did you want to put a hit on these guys and roll for them? $31. Oh,
they're good.
Okay, and then this last one with a plus. Oh no, pluses, right?
No, it's just straight up against the Cav.
Oh, 22. That's probably 1 hit, maybe.
Yeah,
No,
he's
5 to
got
1.
a fire defense of 9, right? Cavalry in line.
He's got.
He's in 2 hexes, right?
Yeah, so he's an 8.
So why is he in 8? I don't see anywhere on the fire defense chart.
Oh
cavalry
no,
being
sorry, it
eight?
is 9. It's another game I'm playing. It says 8, so it's 9. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm just like, am I
Is
missing
that,
something?
is that a hit or no?
You have
That's
a
probably
what's your
not a
what,
hit.
what's your
22.
attack?
Well, it's still a
No,
4 to
it's-
1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's still going to be a single hit.
Oh, you're 40. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it's the old guard guns there.
This situation is kind of a classic example of the counter battery situation, because now the Austrians are bringing up rather a lot, as you can see just across the river. That's the Austrian or Prussian heavy artillery, and its job is to duel with the guard heavies. The French guard heavies are strong, but that's the only 12-pound artillery they have, and they can't risk it.
Oh, really? That's
So
the only
once-
stuff they have? The
All they
Corps
have,
don't
everything
any?
else is
Wow.
everything else is 8 range. And so once the Allied heavy artillery shows up in any kind of numbers, then Robert's artillery position there becomes untenable, unless he wants to, trade hits.
Right. That's interesting. Interesting.
And that becomes a command decision. It's like, okay, do we need this line of fire badly enough to be willing to trade hits with the Allied heavies? And then the counter battery develops beyond that, because once the heavy batteries are trading fire, then the medium-sized batteries can hustle up into medium, and the horse batteries can hustle up into short range. And now the dynamic changes completely, because when it was just 1-to-1 at long range, okay, that's an even trade. But now if you're being shelled by short-range horse artillery batteries that the Allies are absolutely willing to trade increments on against the French heavies, now you're absolutely not willing to take that trade. So you have to back off.
Right. And that's what we were looking at on the flip side at Borodino, where if the French had brought up those horse guns and used those against our position batteries, that would have been bad news for the Russians.
Yeah, it becomes untenable. So then the defender in an artillery confrontation has to look for positions where the terrain prevents those rushing.
But okay, so in the case of my artillery there, if things get hairy, I can move in some trilliers in front of them and then reposition them, right?
Yeah, but
They
don't stop it. They want, and that's what Eric started the conversation with.
Oh, right. I was forgetting.
Skirmishers
Yeah.
don't help, right?
Yeah.
So what will happen, Robert, is if you start getting confronted by superior numbers, even of relatively light Allied artillery, you have to pack up and roll away.
Yeah,
The only way Tirailleurs would help you is if you ran them right up in front of the guns within 2 hexes, because then he has to fire short range, and he'd fire canister at you, and there's no bouncer on canister. But you'd have to be able to get to within 2 hexes of him.
Okay.
And what happens? Go ahead.
Oh, I got a hit on that cavalry then, and it needs to make a morale check.
But what happens as the battles develop is that the early stages of them become this. It's like a épée fencing match at really long range of who is going to have artillery superiority in this sector. And the minute you're below equal, you basically becomes untenable, and you have to give it up and move away.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's very painful, but it's actually quite definite in favor of the group with more artillery increments.
Yes, you're right.
Firepower alone is not enough to hold a position against that. And that's actually one of the advantages of the Allied army at Dresden, is they have lots and lots and lots of heavy artillery relative to the French, and plenty of mediums as well. So you can set up those situations to drive the French away.
Yes. Yeah.
Ugh.
Okay.
And the Allied army has a whole lot more infantry. So the French, this is one of those situations where the French can't really sacrifice infantry to hold the artillery away. So, and that's the dynamic on this battlefield.
Well, very
Wagram
cool.
is actually somewhat similar, and Bautzen is another huge example of the same dynamic.
Yeah, Bautzen's got a lot of guns. The Allies have got a lot of stuff.
And so even though, the French infantry they're in mass, that our allies can counter it with sufficiently dense artillery. Is there any more arty action? Some Austrians with some shots at all?
It looks like maybe MJ's got some stuff that might be able to fire, but we'll hold that for next week. I don't know if Mitch has got anything on his side of the map. And it looks like Michael and Hawkins and Rick were dealing with whatever they had going on. So
the interesting dynamic in this sector will be when the Prussian heavy guns arrive. They just have to climb one more slope, and then that confrontation will appear. And then once the heavy guns are going at it head to head, then the question becomes how many medium guns can you get up in support? Because the heavies, they start it, but it may be the medium guns or horse guns even hustling up to the stream that might be decisive in whether that position is tenable for the French or not.
yeah, and they can kind of sneak up. They've got the sort of that I don't know, what is it, slope and stuff like that. They can kind of pop up from. So, although I don't know, in Regs 30, can the guns prolong up or down a slope?
No.
Okay.
They can only do it in clear.
But in Regs 30, what guns can sometimes do is move into woods. There's no zone of control in woods. So like the young guard there behind the woods, potentially vulnerable to horse artillery rushing in, unlimbering in the woods with no fire and zapping them at short range with canister. Like there's now we're getting into actual tactics given the rule system, and it gets very exciting and very complicated. But it's not simple. It's not like, oh, my horse artillery always can drive off X type of unit. It's not in Regs 30. The interactions are very, very complex and dynamic. It makes it really interesting.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think, the case with all of them. Obviously, some have more nuance than others, but that's, I think, what the appeal of La Bataille is, that you definitely have that rock, paper, scissors, nuclear, missile, Godzilla, and just ad infinitum, all those different variations for stuff. So
in the third edition, and to some extent in fifth, one of the most effective ways to drive off or knock out artillery is to get infantry skirmishers up to a range of 2, because in the third edition especially, artillery has that every other hit when it's shot at by artillery, but when it's shot at by infantry firepower, it's not. And so it's actually very vulnerable to being sniped by infantry skirmishers if they can get that close. So then you have this whole fight going on between the cavalry escorts on the wings and the infantry trying to pressure the cavalry to drive it off. And then the skirmishers arrive, and now the artillery can't stand. And it goes on and on like this.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Hawkins and the rest are still probably firing howitzers, right? Howitzers fire during the artillery chit.
Yeah, during the artillery chit. Yeah.
Yeah, so they probably handle that stuff, and now they're probably lobbing bombs on people, which is always fun. So
I'll go listen in there for a bit.
Yep, well, that's all good in there.
Excuse me.
If a square. Anyways, go ahead. So you missed? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever. Fucking let me turn my head to read it. Mercury or something? I don't know.
Yep, it's Mercury.
Hey, Eric, do you remember what the modifier for indirect fire was?
The modifier for indirect fire? As far as it landing or subtracting stuff?
Yes.
So I don't know that there is a penalty for it on the
Okay.
fire chart. I think the penalty is you getting it to land where you want it to land.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I think there was.
All right. So this
Howitzer
is your target
scatter.
deck stock?
Yeah, I landed here.
Okay.
Saturn.
The one thing you can be sure about is it never ever lands in the hex that you aim at.
Yeah, we couldn't remember if there's like
There.
a +2 or +3 to the accuracy.
So it
Roll.
should be that there's a +3 if I'm looking at this, right? If you don't have a line of sight to the target, so it's a +2 for that.
Right here.
And the range is 6 or more, you've got another +1, so it's a +3. So it's automatically going to be somewhere other than where you necessarily want it to go.
So basically right here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So you-
your loon. Oh, go ahead.
It's all
I was just going to say, so you always end up shooting at the only place you can effectively shoot is the very dense concentrations. Otherwise, your chance of hitting just drops off.
Yeah. Luna.
Here.
Okay. Direction 6. Which will be
Right there.
here. So it's 1 + 3, we said.
Yep.
So is that
Yes.
2 hexes or 1 hexes?
It's 1 hex,
Drift.
right? So you're on the 4 through 6 is 1 hex.
4 through 6 is 1. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought the first number was accuracy and the second one was direction.
That's correct.
So what direction would one be right here?
So then it's going to be 9. So it's going to be 3 hexes off. And if number 1 is there, so 1, 2, 3, it would land right there.
Okay.
But there's nobody
That's
there.
the leader.
Yep.
And last one is soul.
Here.
Okay, roll. Direction 3.
So here.
Here,
Right there.
maybe.
1 to 1.
Oh,
Hey,
that's a
it's
hit.
a hit, a palpable hit. And a 36, those guys probably passed.
Oh, just barely.
Yep. Hey, they're your best and brightest.
I think that's it.
what does
We're-
that
we-
tell you?
We're biding our time for 100 years later. That's why. Increments.
You'll get your advantage as you until the French show up in their taxi cabs.
It's all my artillery.
So we're done with our artillery phase.
Cool. I
Go
think
back
the
to the
next thing was back up to the lobby.
Oh,
Was the Allied 5, wherever that might be, or whomever that might be.
it's on the west a bit, middle west, middle left.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Mitch, you're
Looks like
after.
it's one of Mitch's guys.
Yeah.
All right, back
Okay.
up to lobby.
One kind of point of contact. I want to keep it that way.
Okay, I'll send them to Kevin.
You know, not to be negative or anything, but as a developer, all would come through the
right,
same
we're
channel.
back. So, all right. So, we've got so now we're on to Allied number 5.
Oh,
Followed by allied number 2.
It
And
was
then allied
MJ's
number
5
4.
you, Mitch?
yeah, that's me. I think somewhere.
I see something
Yep.
over here. So
Middle
I'm not
left.
sure.
There we go.
Okay, what are we gonna do here, guys? Where to go?
Allied
I
number
think
2
Allied-
is MJ's core. That's here.
Yes.
And then who's 4?
French 4.
I think it's you,
No,
Reg, isn't it?
coalition 4. No, I'm
Coalition
6.
4.
And then it's going to be MJ, though.
Oh,
Uh,
'Cause I'm 3.
yeah, usually he's.
oh
got
no,
it
3's
over
in the middle. 3's in the middle.
I'm 3.
Yeah, we're looking for
Oh,
4.
okay.
Yeah.
4.
That's what I'm saying. MJ's 4 then.
Yeah, usually he's got it
there's
over
4.
here on somebody.
Here's 4. It's on the
Oh,
bridge.
it's Mitch again.
Nice.
Yeah, so all Mitch's stuff is moved or is moving.
Yeah, get out of there, Mitch.
I'm trying. Where do I go? Boom.
So to regroup, I can limber or unlimber my artillery.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. Boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna do regroup. If you guys are okay with that. Got nothing else to do.
I can't do regroup until 2 goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can also wait till next week for a regroup. That's fine too. It's up to you guys.
There's only one problem with that for me. I'm out next week. I'm
You're
out
not
for the
here.
next 2 weeks. I'm out for the next 2 weeks. I'll get together with Brennan and tell him what I'm thinking, and he can take over my command.
I think Hawkins should take over your command.
I'm fine with that. I have no problem with that.
Oh, don't you lie to me.
I don't care. Hey,
Yeah, if you haven't seen the
Hawkins and I
dynamic
go way
between,
back. We're constantly
yeah,
harassing each
yeah.
other.
If you
Hey,
haven't
look,
seen
I'll be eating.
the dynamic between them, it is it's like the Odd Couple. You know, it's that kind
Exactly.
of thing there. Yep.
Are you sure you two aren't married?
Oh. Yeah, well, for
I love you, Mike.
I think the first year that we were playing, these two were like, you know, I was having difficulty trying to remember. Oh, okay, this is like the first day that we were at Consum. Okay, which one's Rick and which one's Mike? And then I'd say, okay, such and such. I'd get their name right. You know, so half the time I'd get it wrong. And I'm like, no, it's such and such. So then when I start getting it right, they're like, oh, no, you've got it wrong. I'm like, oh my God. And then they would both burst into laughter because, you know, here I finally figured out, oh, I got their names right. And then, no, you got it wrong. And they're just.
And
yeah.
Hawks has that straight face, so you can't
Hawkins has
tell.
that poker face extraordinaire. Yeah, absolutely hilarious. Yeah.
It's great entertainment. Thank you, Eric.
Oh my gosh, indeed.
We were talking about the different components of counter battery. So now we've got Austrian horse guns moving around here too, right? These are all the pieces of it. There's Prussian heavy guns. There's Russian heavies rolling up mid-back, and there's plenty of medium artillery. So somewhere in there, there's going to be capability to drive.
All right, we've got a question here from Suragai 03F. Hello, Eric and friends. How much effort do you think it is to get into La Bataille if already playing Battles of the Age of Reason? I'd say it's probably going to be easier for you. A lot of stuff is a lot more streamlined with La Bataille, in large part because the French have abandoned, you know, a lot of the sort of rigid hierarchical presentation of the troops, where the lead grenadier's always got to be on the right side or always in the lead of the column or whatever else. And so therefore you're paying all these costs for changing formation, changing direction, pivoting, all that jazz. With La Bataille, it's much more streamlined. And so you'll find that you're able to move around with a lot greater dexterity, for want of a better word. A lot of the concepts are similar. And if you play Regs 30 or the Marie-Louise rules, they tend to follow the Battles of the Age of Reason a little bit more closely. And I think that's in part because the Regs 30 rules, in large part, were, I'm not sure which came first. I think they were inspired by the bar rules. And so there's a lot of concepts that are similar like that, particularly with the cavalry charges, where you move and then you declare your charge. While with some of the other rule systems in La Bataille, like 5th edition, it harkens back to the older system where at the beginning of your player turn, you declare and then you move. You do your charges, and then you do your movement and all those other kinds of things. So there's a little bit of differences sometimes with the sequence of play. The other difference is depending on which system you're using. If it's got some sort of command control where you're limited to how many formations you can activate, then you've got a chit pull mechanism instead of rolling for initiative. With some of the other rule systems, there's no command control, and then when it's your turn, you can move every piece on the board as long as you get it done within a specified time limit. And so, depending on which one you're comfortable with, if you've been playing Battles of the Age of Reason, then you're not going to have any problem playing, even though it's a complicated rule set of La Bataille. They're really much simpler, all things considered. So yeah, you should be fine doing that. And both games are a lot of fun. I think Battles of Age of Reason really does capture the, I want to say, almost ponderous nature of the 18th century combat, while La Bataille really captures, I think, very well the Napoleonic system and does that really well. So, time limits, like a real life time limit. So in the original La Bataille rules that were written back in the 1970s, they didn't have really sort of this idea that, okay, this leader is sending command here and doing this and this and this. So instead, what they said was to try to imitate. They'd say, okay, say it's the French against the Austrians in 1805, or the French against the Prussians in 1806, while the Prussians have this very clunky Frederick the Great style of doing things. Same with the Austrians. So the way they would kind of imitate or help to get across the greater flexibility the French have, well, they say, okay, the French, you've got 10 minutes to move all your guys when it's your turn, and the Austrians or the Prussians, you've got 7 minutes to move all your guys. So if you as a player are focusing all your stuff on trying to create the perfect move, in this particular section of the battlefield, well, that means all this other stuff isn't going to move. And if it's a case where you're trying to move as many things as you can, there's going to be stuff where you make a mistake and you don't set up the most perfect attack in the universe. I think it does. I actually like that system because it does give the possibility of things obviously making mistakes, right? If you've got a game system like with Regs, where you have all the time in the world to move your stuff, there's cases I played with guys where, they take an hour or more just to move one formation, and it's very tedious. So with this one, it's particularly good for team play because boom, 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 everyone's, it's like, okay, your 10 minutes is up, pencils down, here we go, let's go to the fire or combat or whatever. So yeah, it's a real life one. And yeah, it can be stressful, but I think it's, depending on the player. Some people like it, other people, they don't like it. And depending on who you're playing with, right, you need to be sensitive to that. So I've got a couple of fellas that I play with that, they might have a slight tremor in their hand, and so it's hard for them to move the pieces and use the tweezers and things like that. And so therefore you're like, hey, don't stress it. We're not going to worry about the time movement when you've got to move your stuff. Or you've got somebody who, they might be new to the game and you're like, hey, don't worry about it. Just take your time, kind of go through things. But that was the mechanic that they had originally to kind of deal with that command control. And so those are definitely elements that are there in the original Premier rules that you can still find and play with the different games published by Marshall Enterprise. And then the third edition, which was a very popular rule set that Clash of Arms put out for a couple of decades, basically in the 80s and 90s. And then in 5th edition, they've got that element there as well. And it's mostly to facilitate team play. So you don't have, one guy sitting there, waiting for who knows how long for his opponent to come up with the most perfect move and place every single unit in exactly the right place they want to be. which is just very tedious and fiddly. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's see. Next one. Yeah, with such massive counter count, I can understand. Do you think it advantages the person who understands the rules and intricacies better? Obviously any of the rule sets, if you've got all the intricacies figured out, doesn't matter which one you're working with. But I would say with the time movement, it's definitely going to be it. And usually with the time movement, unlike bar, it's a case where your entire side goes, and so for example, typically with Premier, it's the French player goes, then it's the Allies, then the French, then the Allies. So normally what you're doing is when the Allied player is doing his move, you're thinking about, oh, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do in my coming turn. I'm going to counter here. I'm going to move this here. I'm going to do that there. And as a result, then you've already got stuff kind of mapped out. So then when the clock starts, you already know what you're going to do. And so that way, I think also it's good because it keeps both players engaged, where, when it's the other guy's turn, you're obviously watching him, but then you're also thinking about, well, what am I going to do my next turn? And so there's good elements to it. And obviously, if you know the rules a little bit better than someone else, maybe that'll help you. But certainly you want to get down things like the movement and other things so you know what the movement costs are, because if you're spending a lot of time during your time movement looking at, well, how much does it cost to move into this terrain and how much does it cost to do this? Yeah, obviously that's going to eat into your time movement portion of it. So as a result, you would want to try to have, to the best of your knowledge, know, okay, this is what the movement costs are. So that way you don't have to keep referring to the charts for that kind of a thing. So that's something that you could look up before it's your turn and kind of get that down. And particularly if you've been playing, for any period of time over the course of an hour or two or three or four, you should pretty much have those figures at the tip of your brain as it is. So hopefully that answered your question. If you've got other questions, feel free to chime in. I'm always happy to help. But yeah, I think going from bar to La Bataille should be very simple. The rules and the whole nature of combat in this rule set is much more free flowing compared to the sort of rigidity of Battles of the Age of Reason. But just being able to move your units is so much more fluid. And so, yeah, you can get stuff flying all over. And just look at the movement values. Most of the movement values, of the typical cavalry units, hussars are like 14 or 15. While in Battles of the Age of Reason, the fastest movement for any light, horse is 7. And then same thing for your heavies, where it's like a movement of 6. Well, here, your heavies, it's 10 or 11 or 12. So you've got a lot more movement potential with your cavalry. And then also the infantry is faster. Typically most of the infantry is about a movement of 7. Some of your light troops or grenadiers have a movement of 8. So a lot more ability to maneuver around. And the game, I think, has more options for you to kind of move around on the field, get around to a spot where you can either defend something or turn the guy's flank or whatever. So there's a different element to it than necessarily you have with Battles of the Age of Reason, which, depending on which battle, it tends to be very sort of linear, and then whatever's going on the cavalry wing, and then however that turns out, yeah, you're hoping that they're going to turn and roll up one side or the other, kind of a thing. So a little bit of a difference here. And then the whole combined arms is that there's so much more artillery in the Napoleonic battles compared to what they have in the 7 Years' War and War of American Independence. So lots of things to think about. All right, I'm going to go back and join my colleagues and see what they're up to. Hey guys, I guess you guys decided to call it.
I don't think I have watched them. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we saw you go to workshops. We're like, fuck it. Well, if Eric's not here, let's go.
Well, I had a fella asking about how easy it might be to go from learning, if you'd already played bar, going and then learning La Bataille. And so I've been off kind of monologuing and answering his questions in the chat while you guys were doing your stuff. So, because I know you guys didn't want to hear me go on and on about that.
No,
Yeah.
I would say fifth. I don't know. I kind of feel fifth edition would be easier than bar, but I don't know.
Oh
What do
yeah.
you think?
Well, and I think the one rule set that is the closest to the Battles of the Age of Reason is Regs 30 or Marie Louise, because a lot of the mechanics are very similar, where you move the cavalry and then you do the charges. And so that is very familiar to a bar player. But yeah, otherwise, they all have their subtleties. And then we were talking about the time movement and things like that. And he's like, what? So I kind of went into the detail about how that is. I kind of like that. So let's see. He says here, boop, 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 boop. I might push my luck with questions then. I had 2 bar questions unanswered in our last playthrough. 1, the rulebook says regiment integrity applies to independent units. Does it mean adjacent? Yeah. So I suppose if you've got 2 battalions that are part of an independent regiment, then you would, and they're side by side, then they would count as just 1 hex instead of 2 hexes when you're tracing supply or when you're tracing your line of command to that. And then, so he says independent count as 1 unit, or it means they are activated if the regiment is activated in their hex. So that's the other thing is, right? So imagine you've got 2 and you're trying to activate the independents, right, with that commander or wing leader or whatever. If one of them is within range of the leader, then the battalion that's his brother battalion that's next to him would also be activated. So yeah, I would think that's the same. Okay. I don't know what the other bar question is. So, okay. Yeah, otherwise, we play Battles of the Age of Reason on Sunday nights. So 6 o'clock Pacific time, which is 8 Central and 9 out on the East Coast. So you're always welcome to chime in to one of those and ask questions. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream if you guys are all done playing.
Yep.
Okay.